Ndoro, the Director of Communications and Advocacy at the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education. Mr. Ndoro, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
Thank you so much for joining us on Champions League Breakfast. We appreciate it. Mr. Ndoro, schools are opening, let's say today for the borders and tomorrow for everyone in Zimbabwe. My informati durira, Mr. Ndoro.
Okay.
Toita say, tibatsireiwo sehurumende ipapo.
All right. Uniforms are purchased in the market. So it is always prudent for my parents and guardians to go and buy my uniforms where they find it cheaper. In 2021, Cabinet yakapasa a resolution where schools could become commercial entities, which means good my schools and my business enterprises. One of the business enterprises for schools could have sewn my uniforms out, like they used to do as sewn my mask out, even the sanitary way ever scanner. So my schools are not sewn their uniforms, and then they are allowed to sell those uniforms to parents as a business venture. But we often encourage good kind of, if they're in that enterprise of producing their own uniforms, then their uniforms at the school should be much cheaper than the uniforms in the market. But we're disappointed that some of the schools, double or triple the price of the same uniform in the market. This is where we have a challenge. Ordinarily, where a school is producing uniforms, it should be cheaper than in the market. Parents should actually be rushing to the school to make sure that they buy a uniform at the school because the school is cheaper, because it is producing the uniform at the school. But the opposite is true. It seems sometimes it's in the market where you find uniforms cheaper, and the uniforms at the school are much more expensive than those in the market.
Yes, Mr. Ndoro, you spoke about a resolution that was taken by the government to allow schools to do businesses for them to earn some money as well outside school fees and everything. Is it supposed to be compulsory for me to buy school uniforms from the school?
No. That's one of our policy positions. It's not compulsory for any parent to buy uniforms at the school. A parent can buy uniforms anyway they feel it is cheaper in the market, or anyway that they feel they can go and buy the uniform because they find maybe the quality is better. But what they need to maintain are the color codes of the uniform of the school. No parent should be forced or obliged to purchase uniforms at the school.
Mauniform anochinja kangani pagore mukuru wangu, because chiri kuitika ndechekuti mazona pane majackets aako tinasha ari kufoswa kunzi vana vechikoro vanga vanawo majackets iwayo anzanzi machiko
mapuff jackets.
Yeah.
Well, the issues of uniform change, we tinenge tichitotarisira kuti my parents through their SDC ne-school administration tinowanzotowirirana kuti tikuda kuti uniform yedu ichinje gore negore here kana kuti tikuda kuti uniform yedu tiimaintaine for 10 to 15 years. So it's actually a decision that has to come jointly between parents and the school administration. And the issues as the government, we can then come in kind of disputes where perhaps a school administration unilaterally imposes a new uniform on parents without agreeing with parents that we need a new uniform or we need a new uniform for this. This is where we then come in and intervene, because what we as government do as the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education is to deal with an already agreed position between the parents and the school administration, or a position that is a position of conflict between the parents and the school administration. That's when the ministry then comes in and then resolves that matter. The way we would resolve it, firstly, is for the school administration to engage and consult with the SDC. And SDC represents the parents so that they are in agreement that we want a new uniform, or it's not necessary, or we're going to add a jacket for winter, for instance. But those agreements need to be done between the parents and the school administration.
Mr. Ndoro, let me go back to where you pointed out that it's not compulsory for parents or guardians to buy school uniforms from the school. But then to not a list of what is needed at the school as the term is starting. Fees, tuition fee, and everything that's needed for school. Uniform ndova nayo ndatenga at a shop in town with the same color shade that is needed. But still, when you go to school, because on the record that we have here at the school, muna kutenga uniform yemwana. Even mwana akatopfeka yava nayo akatengerwa kumba. You are not supposed to get into school because hauna school uniform.
This is exactly what we're talking about as the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, that it is illegal for any school to force parents to purchase uniforms at their school. It is illegal. A parent has to freely go to the school. And in normal cases, if parents freely go to the school, it's because the uniform at the school is cheaper. If you find a parent coming with their uniform from the market and not buying at the school, it is because the uniform at the school is more expensive. And if there are parents that are facing any cases like that, please urgently and quickly report to our district offices. If you find no joy there, report to our provincial offices. And as a last resort, obviously, you can come to head office. There is no school that is allowed to do that. And any school administration that continues to stubbornly impose the purchase of school uniforms by parents at their school as an obligation, that school administration is going to face the music. That school administration is going to face disciplinary action. Those which are non-governmental schools that may think that they are not under the authority of the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education may even face tenor measures, such as deregistration of that school. That school can be closed, or it can have its registration suspended because it's not following government policy. So school administrators must be warned that no school is allowed to force a single parent, any parent, to purchase uniforms from the school.
Yes, Mr. Ndoro, we've got a listener who did send in a message on WhatsApp with saying that, yes, what Mr. Ndoro is talking about, we appreciate, but it only applies to government schools. What about private schools?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I said all non-governmental schools, the ones that you call private schools, they should never think that they're not under the authority of the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education. They should never think they're not under the authority of the government. They are under the authority of the government. They are registered by the government. They are inspected by the government. They are monitored by the government. And therefore, when the government gives a directive that all private schools, all schools, including private schools, should not force any parent to purchase uniforms at the school, then they must follow to toe the line of the government. Otherwise, they will face the music.
Lastly, Mr. Ndoro, on the issue of the issues to do with the bullying that is happening in schools and, of course, drugs in schools, what is your take as government on that issue as schools are opening now?
Our take as government is that we've got all hands on deck in terms of issues to do with bullying. It is mandatory that each and every school in the country, we've got almost 11,500 schools, each and every single one of them should have an anti-bullying policy. And when we go for our inspections, that is one of the documents that we would like to see displayed within the administration block, and which is also understood by teachers and pupils, that there is an anti-bullying policy with very dire consequences for any pupil who engages in bullying activities. We also, on top of the anti-bullying policy, there should be an anti-drug and substance abuse policy, where there are also dire consequences for any pupil who abuses drugs. And we're not just talking of pupils in our schools. We're even talking of staff members. There are staff members who abuse drugs and substances. There are ancillary staff members who do the same. And we want to protect our schools a safe environment. Even during visiting and consultation days, those parents who want to come to our schools whilst intoxicated under the influence of dangerous and intoxicating substances, we will not be allowed entry within our schools, because it is not a good reflection to our children to see a parent who's intoxicated coming for consultation, or even just coming to our school for a visit. We are not going to be allowing any parent who is under the influence of drugs or substance abuses to be within our school premises. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taungana Ndoro, Director of Communications and Advocacy at the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, for talking to us.
Yevi, pane ukupedzera shumana kuti pane ma-abuse aronzi ari kuitwa nema-teachers kuchikoro. Government iri kuita sei against that? Nyaya dziri kubuda dzakawanda kuzvikoro, vana vaitwa zvakati nevarairidzi vavo.
Hello, Mr. Ndoro, are you still on the line?
Yes, hi.
Yes, there was a question. We'll take again the question.
Okay.
Vandoro, pane zvekutendera kuma-social media, ma-teachers ari kuita zvakati kuvana vedu, abuse from teachers, abuse from school heads. Government iri kuita sei against such things zviri kuitika kuzvikoro?
Our stance as the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education now is very, very stern on teachers who abuse or improperly associate with our children in schools. I can tell you that as of now and this term, as of last term, even if we hear, if a report is made against a teacher that they are abusing or improperly associating with the pupils, they are immediately suspended on allegation. Because there's no smoke without fire. We don't believe that someone can just come and lie that you are abusing children. Obviously, we'll vet some of the circumstances. Then investigations continue soon after the suspension, and then we come to a determination. At least within about 2 weeks, we should be able to have resolved those cases. So any report that we are receiving, before we even act, the teacher is suspended. We have had various cases, and in most of the cases, the teachers or the staff members that have been found or who have been reported about improper association, in most cases, the allegation will be true, and our suspension will then move on to discharge.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ndoro. It looks like there are so many concerns that are coming in from the parents and guardians out there. We will create another space of time so that we talk about it. But lastly, there is one who says that why can't the ministry give us a hotline number to call, because those schools are bent on robbing parents. Apana chimwe.
Yes, we have a hotline number, a toll-free number, 317. Let me repeat, 317. 317 is a toll-free number. You can phone for free and give us all your complaints, and we'll action them within 48 hours. Firstly, within 24 hours, but at the latest, within 48 hours.
All right. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Taungana Ndoro, Director of Communications and Advocacy at the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, for speaking to us right here on the Champions League Breakfast on Capitalk. We appreciate.
Thank you very much, and have a lovely day.
Same to you. Bye-bye.